I just felt like karmically, I wanted to change the narrative for her. And it was a good lesson for me as well, because when you think about it, a lot of women, we allow ourselves to accept this narrative of, I'm a victim, somebody did this to me,
Mhm.
instead of taking the reins and saying, you know what, this might be something that happened, but instead of happening to me, it happened for me. And I believe that with all my heart.
I am blown away, honestly, by the content of your book. Looking at the title, Daughter Lessons, you have touched on, even in these few minutes that we've been talking, you've touched on so many things that midlife women are dealing with and struggling with and grappling with, even from your essay about aging. Right? I mean, coming from a girly who had a hard time turning 40, but now that I'm 57, I look back and I'm like, "Oh my god."
Whatever.
What was I crying about?
Yeah, like, hell yeah, bring on my birthdays, bring them on. Welcome to Drinks with the Girls, conversations for women over 40 around connection, change, and the power of female friendship. Living well with stories to tell. I'm Karen, and this is Lisa.
We are moms and solopreneurs stepping into our own, diving into real conversations about things that matter to women in midlife.
We're here to spill the tea on everything that affects women in their 40s and beyond. Topics like loss and grief, changing relationships, launching kids, menopause, and reinventing ourselves in midlife. We are here to tackle it all.
Connect with us through a blend of our lived experiences, our friendship, the memory of our moms, plus a collection of real stories, honest conversations, and engaging interviews that will make women over 40 feel seen and remind them that they're not alone on this journey called life. Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of Drinks with the Girls. Pour yourself a glass, Drinks with the Girls posse, because today's conversation is one that I know is going to hit you right in the feels, especially if you're a mama. We are sitting down today with Bernadette Catalana. She's an attorney, a mom of 2 daughters, and the voice behind Daughter Lessons, Wise and Witty Reflections on Leading, Learning from, and Loving Our Daughters. So we're going to talk about the messy, magical journey of raising girls, and whether you're a mama to girls or boys, we're also going to dip into the world of what it means to rediscover ourselves once our kids are finding their own way in the world. So grab your drink. Let's get into it. But let me let you know what I'm drinking. So when I drink a beer, it's usually a Mexican beer. So I have a Pacifico tonight with lime, but I have it in my Drink Up Witches
Nice. Other way.
glass.
Oh, there
Because
you
even
go.
though this is airing in December, we are recording in October. Lisa, what are you drinking?
So apparently I got the beer note because I am drinking not a real Stella Artois, but a Liberté Stella Artois, which is alcohol-free.
So Bernadette, we will let you introduce yourself, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and what you're drinking.
Oh, right. Well, I haven't looked forward to having drinks with people as much as I've looked forward to this in a long time. So thank you for having me. This is wonderful. It's been a long day. I'm on the East Coast, so it's 8:26 here. And I am drinking a glass of rosé, just a very simple glass of rosé. And my glass has little embellished bees on it because
Nice.
for Bernadette, I am known as the queen bee by many,
Nice.
especially my children.
Love it.
Yes. So
Love
there
it.
you go. About myself, you said it. I'm a lawyer. I'm a mother. I am a yogi. I love yoga. I love to write. I'm probably, I would say, a non-traditional lawyer. I get asked, "Oh, what do you do?" And then when I tell people I'm a lawyer, they're like, "Really?" And they give me that weird look. But no, I am a lawyer. I'm in my 30th year of practice, and yeah, life is good. Life is good.
I swear to God, I wonder if men have these kind of hyphenates. It's just like mom / attorney / writer / professional leadership person, like / yogi / like everything. It's like all these powerful women that I meet that are just like, yeah, I can do all things. Bring it on.
I
Love
think
it.
because to. I think
Well,
we have to do that.
there's that.
You know, yeah, there is that. There
Yeah.
is that.
But I think that
So,
women I don't think they like to settle for where they're at, especially in midlife, because they're like, let's go. Like, I need to do the things I set out to do kind of thing, which I think is great. And we're totally here for that in the podcast.
yeah, I think one thing that I definitely developed in midlife is a real commitment to doing what I say I'm going to do. If I say I'm going to take a trip, I take a trip. If I say I'm going to show up at your party, I show up at your party. I think we're in a world where people overpromise and underdeliver, especially to ourselves. So I think that commitment to following through is really important. So that's a muscle I definitely developed in midlife, and it's a good one.
I love it.
I love that you mentioned keeping the commitments to yourself, Bernadette, because I think so often when we think about that, we think about, oh, look, I have to keep my word and my commitments to everybody else. And we don't always keep commitments to ourselves. So I just love that you said that. But I'm curious, what inspired you to write Daughter Lessons?
Well, my kids were growing up and we have been close, I would say, from the beginning. I just was very lucky. We had a really good fit between myself and my girls, and they're born a year apart. So I was reaching that moment of, wow, they're launching out of the nest. And not only are they launching out of the nest and they're not going to be with me, I thought ahead to the future maybe a little bit more and thought, wow, the day's going to come where I'm not going to be here anymore. And I know that sounds really morbid, but actually it was very empowering thinking about the, I don't, maybe not fragility of life, but the fleetingness of life. You know, the days may drag, but the years fly by. It just went so fast. And I felt like time was picking up speed. And I didn't feel particularly close to my own mom. So I wanted to leave them with something so that they knew me personally, that they knew what I thought about certain things, and just maybe little guideposts along the way that I wish I had gotten from my own mom. So I picked up my pen and I started writing.
I love that.
Was there anything that surprised you while you were writing it?
Yeah, I would say there were a lot of surprises. I think you you get to know yourself a little bit. I mean, I do journal every day. I've journaled every day for just about 20 years this year. And I find out a lot about myself when I pick up my pen in the morning. So anytime I pick up my pen, I find that I'm challenging myself and I'm kind of writing my way. Like if I have an issue, I try to write my way out of it. And so yeah, I find out a lot of things. And in the course of the book, just the depth of my love for my girls, for sure. It just made me really appreciate what a gift I have there. I also, a lot of things from childhood, from growing up, came up because I wanted to talk about certain things. Like I talked about bullying, and that was something that I think more people should talk about. I mean, we talk about it as if it doesn't go on once we hit a certain age, but it's so not true. I mean, I'm out in the work world. I'm a lawyer. I'm somebody who sticks up for other people. But there are absolutely situations in my current life where I'm getting bullied by people, or at least they're trying to bully me. I'm at a point where I have enough self-worth that I can call people on it, but not everybody feels that empowered. So I think just even my little entry on bullying really struck me like, wow, that's still happening. And, you have this, what is it about me that makes me such a target for bullies? So that was a lot of self-reflection right there.
That's such an interesting way to think about it also because, when we think about bullies, sometimes it's like we're we're all, pointing the finger out there and they're doing this and they're doing that instead of what is it that's going on with me or what are my habits and patterns, or what am I doing to draw this in almost? That's an interesting perspective. Were the essays that you wrote or the chapters, are they directed? Full transparency, I have not read the book. Were they all like directed like dear daughter, like as letters, or were they just
They're little essays, and they are directed toward my girls. I mean, some of them are just directed to the air, things that happen. I do have some that I have directed to my friends. So, for example, I have one, and each one starts as a little title. I have a little quote on the beginning, and this one is called, and it's just really a paragraph, "To my younger sisters on getting older." And the quote is by Mark Twain: "Wrinkles should merely indicate where the smiles have been." And I wrote this because my friend Amy was turning 40, and she called me and was freaking out in the worst way. Like, oh my God. I felt so bad for her because, I had left 40 long ago. So I was thinking, oh, she's so cute. She's so upset by this. But then I thought, okay, I'm gonna take it seriously. So I wrote her this little note. "Dear little sisters, I have been a refuge for more than a few of you when you face big birthdays or that first gray hair or the last child leaving home. People seek my advice because I'm a veteran of many milestones associated with the passage of time. I often laugh at the incredulity shown when others learn my age, or even better, the ages of my children. But I admit, for most, age is a serious matter. I've been interrogated about my skincare rituals and facial treatments, diet protocols, and exercise routines. My medicine cabinet has been subjected to thorough inspection. I will not lie and say those things don't matter. They do, because they help to keep the outside reflective of the inside, the part of us immune to erosion. Indeed, the inside and the outside are connected. Pretty thoughts can prompt a pretty smile, highlighting your face better than any selfie light. Most importantly, keep in mind that age is a privilege not extended to everyone. Wear it with pride and a fabulous pair of shoes, knowing that you are in great company."
I love that idea of age is a privilege not extended to everyone. That's powerful.
Right. I mean, we've all lost people far too soon, right? That you wish they were here with you to grow older with you. I know I have.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was important. So yes, most of it is to my girls, but some of it's to me, really, to me, to my mom. It's just been kind of my almost like meditations on love and on life. And it's one of those love projects that, you think, oh, I'm just doing this little thing for my kids. And then it's become so much bigger than that, which is really cool.
This is reminding me so much. I don't know if you listened to this episode, but we did an episode, gosh, I think last spring, with a woman named Amy Daughters, who wrote 580 handwritten letters to people.
Oh,
Not always
wow.
people that she knew real well, but it started out as this project for really an acquaintance of hers whose son was dying of cancer. And she was trying to figure out, like, what can I do to support her? And so she started this letter thing. And then she decided she was going to write a letter to every single person that she was connected to on Facebook. And, Facebook's like the cute guy in PE that you wish you would have talked to then. And now he's like, married and has kids. It's the person you used to work with, right? It's just a lot of them are very tangential kind of connections, right? And so she decided that she was going to do this. And I feel like what you're doing is almost the opposite. Like, she took the idea, I'm writing a letter, I'm sending kind of this love note to people, and then would check out their feed and respond to certain things and talk about, like, this was one of my favorite things about you, that kind of thing. She had this whole like way of doing it. But for you, it's almost the opposite, right? Like, who you're writing to, and the topics are what's kind of coming to you, and you're putting it out there in the world. So I'm just kind of reflecting. I don't know if there's a question in here, but I'm just kind of reflecting.
No, I think that's true. I said to someone the other day, sometimes I'll pick up my book during an interview or whatever the occasion is, if I'm doing a book reading, And I'll read something and think, oh, I wrote that. I can't believe I wrote that. Because honestly, it's not an effort. It's almost like the words come through me. It's never as once I have my topic and I'm like riding around with it in my head, it's like no effort at all. I can't even explain the experience, but I think anyone who's creative, who creates has a similar thought about, whether they're a painter or a potter or what have you. It's just, it's like the ultimate being in flow to the point where sometimes I don't even remember the process. I just think, oh, wow, that came out. That was nice.
So I have a question about that. When you started writing, were you aware that you wanted this to be a bigger thing, like you would submit it for publication, like all that? Because I feel like writing in your journal is a very different thing from writing like where the public is going to have access to that. So was that something you started out to do? Did that just kind of like as a process happen? Did you feel like you had to change what you were writing once this became something that was going to be a public project?
No, those are all good questions. No, I did not start out thinking that this would ever be read by anybody other than my children. And in fact, I will tell people, I'll say the only two people who need to read this book are on the cover with me. That's it. If those two people read it, I'm good. But I have friends who run a spiritual center called the Assisi Institute in Rochester, New York. And they were, I was sharing with them some of the things I was writing, and they said, wow, you're a really good writer. We do publish some books. We can put the book together for you. So they did do that. And then because I am a lawyer, I'm super busy. It's hard for me to find time to go to the bathroom. I'm going to be completely honest with you during the day. The thought of having to do all of that, it was really overwhelming. So these wonderful people put it together for me. One of my friends, who is my law partner, who is one of my law partners, edited the book. She edited the whole thing. And it just kind of happened. And I will tell you, the day that my paralegal called me, she said, your book's on Amazon. And I went, oh my God, wow. I felt very exposed because I thought, wow, I didn't really change a lot of stuff around. And this is very personal and I'm putting myself out there. But it also was very, very freeing. And I will tell you, some of my high school friends, I'm still in a text chat with them and touch with them. And I guess, it's a bigger group. I'm close to a couple of the girls, very close, and they said everyone wants to know who the mean girls are. That you wrote about.
Is that us?
I said, "Well, you can tell them it's not that particular person." I said, "No, it's not." But yeah, it is funny. And I did write about my little town, and some of the things were very healing. Like writing about my town, I don't know where you are on the West Coast, but I grew up in a tiny little town. I didn't grow up in New York City. I grew up in this very little town of 20,000 people, about 3.5 hours from New York. And I always felt, I don't know, just maybe like most people, like I always felt like I needed to leave because there wasn't love for me there. There wasn't a respect. We were big Catholic family in a slew of Catholic families, and we were the only ones whose parents were divorced. That was a lot of shame in that. And I just always felt uncomfortable. Yes, I did get bullied a lot. And so me leaving my little town felt right. But then as my mother got older and I had to go back more and more often to be with her and stay with her as we were, caring for, I'm one of 7 children. And the 6 girls took turns. I had to be in my town a lot more, and it felt very uncomfortable and I didn't love it. But being there helped me rediscover a few things. And I rediscovered a few people there. And I thought, okay, well, when you're a kid, even when you're 18, you kind of blow things out of proportion in your head. You always think things are a lot worse than they are. And, it helped me appreciate my little town. So that was, a solution to a problem that I didn't know I had. So that can happen too.
My name is Karen Shatafian, and I am a shameless coffee addict and empowerment coach for women, and my love language is authenticity. My mission is helping women unapologetically design a life they're in love with. Because what the hell are we waiting for? My website, KarenShatafian.com, has all my coaching packages and free offers like my midlife reclamation guide. In it, you'll find tools to help you decide how to create the most inspired and empowered version of yourself and your life. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram talking about ways women can show up for themselves after decades of showing up for everyone else. Join me as we throw off the shackles and live our best freaking lives. See the show notes for all the details. Cheers. It sounds like an unexpected surprise, like it brought unexpected healing. I mean, did you know that since you left, did you really spend much time thinking about your town or how you felt about it or how it made you feel?
No, all I knew is like every time I thought about it, like, oh God, I just don't want to go back. I just don't want to go there. There's nothing there for me. But as time went on, that definitely was something that healed, and I came to terms with it and came to peace with it. Ran into some significant people from my life in my little hometown. I will tell you probably one of the most profound moments of my life, and that's I'm putting a big bow on that, happened right before my mom died. So my mom died 2 years ago on October 7th. And the summer prior to that, I was on one of my weekend duties and was with her and was so she was in this, I would say, end care facility for people who are older. And then there was an affiliated senior living center where people could be who were functioning well, and they had their own cars, and they were doing this stuff. My mom was definitely not there, and she was definitely close to the end. And I was trying to take her. There was a little, like they called it a pub. They had a little pub, and we would take her down there for dinner. And it really did, it brightened her up a little bit. And I know a few times when I arrived, the nurses were like, go get your mother a glass of wine. She needs one. So take her to the pub. So I was doing that, and I was trying to get out the door, like down in the back elevator. And I saw a man coming from the other direction, and they had all these keypads because I guess people would try to escape. So that the patients would try to escape. So I saw him. I'm, tending to my mom. I put my hand up. I did the numbers, and then I'm going to walk through and, really not even look at this person. And he says, hey. And I look, and it is my high school boyfriend. And my heart just stopped. And he was also very surprised and had, just this, almost like a tearful smile. And he said, my dad's next to your mom. He just moved in. And it just,
Wow.
it broke, it broke my heart open, and it made me think, okay, I have a friend here. And it was really beautiful. And then following that, anytime I was there, I would stop to see his dad. And anytime he was there, he would stop to see my mom, and he would send me a picture of her. And it was really nice. So there was some, beautiful, unexpected gifts and healing from that. Really, really nice.
My therapist and I call those glimmers, right? When
Oh,
this like serendipitous stuff happens. And for me, it's always like, okay, I'm on the right path. Like something like that'll happen. And it's just like, okay, I'm where the universe needs me to be right now. This is good.
oh yeah. I'm a true believer in that. There's no ground more sacred than that on which I stand. Even in your worst moment, you're exactly where you need to be.
So let's get into the worst moments a little bit. Did you,
Yep.
I'm sure you did, but did you find things as you were writing that, oh, wow, I wish I'd done that differently? Or, you know, situation where your child really taught you something? Like, can you reflect on that a little bit?
Sure. I really, I don't have a lot of regrets in my life. I will say with my kids, and we laugh about it now. I say, you know what I regret that I didn't do with you guys? I should have really made you take your foreign languages more seriously because my girls only speak English. What is wrong with them? And living in New York City, now we all live in New York City, and it's very, you know, it comes in handy to know other languages. And both of their husbands speak two other languages other than English.
Mic
So
drop.
I'm like, I know, right? It makes me feel like, God, what was I doing? I do not know why I did not push these girls, but it's okay. I mean, their husbands do. Yeah. Phil speaks Finnish and French, and Drake speaks Spanish and German. So,
Wow.
yeah, I know, right?
So
They're,
Impressive.
you guys could go on a cruise around the world and just be covered pretty much.
I know. I know. So I do regret that, and that's not really a big deal. I do, my mother is gone. I wish I was the regret, I wish I was closer to her. There's no doubt about it, but part of it is when you're one of 7 kids, the deck is kind of stacked against you, You there's only so much room at that table, and that was just not meant to be for me. So I think that is a hard part of it, but I I tried to do the best that I could do for my mom. And I hope that she accepts that. I think I need to accept it, but I think that's the hard thing. And I think the mother-daughter relationship is fraught with peril. It can be. And yeah, that I would say that was probably the hardest part. But by the end of my mom's life, one of the things I did, ostensibly for her, but I actually did it for me, is I tried to rewrite her life story. And that was really a beautiful thing. So I came to, again, my weekend tours of duty, which were grueling, driving at least 3.5 hours when you can get out of the city quickly to go to Endicott and then, be there, stay in a hotel, be there for a couple of days, take care of her, then drive back and, not have a break from your real life and your real job. It's hard. And we did that for a long time, like 5 years. But towards the end, I was coming to see her and I came in and she was on the floor. She had broken so many bones but was so forgetful that she didn't know she couldn't walk. So was always trying to get out of bed and falling. And she had one caretaker who was really wonderful. And I said, "Oh my gosh, what's happening is she near the end?" I mean, I was beside myself. And he said, "Oh no, she's way too angry." She is I've been here, and he was assuring me, she's like, "She is mad at someone named Tony," which is like my dad. Oh, okay. Uh, so and the more I thought about it, because I mean, her physically, she was a wreck, and I kept thinking, "How is she doing this? She's 90 years old. How is she hanging on?" And she really was angry, and I think she was angry because she thought she was a failure. As a Catholic woman, her job was to be married to my dad and have his children, and, there was not supposed to be any other chapters. He was not supposed to leave us for his 26-year-old secretary. I mean, this was not part of the thing she signed up for. And, the poor lady, she was in crisis really my entire growing up because I was one of the younger ones. I was number 6 out of 7. And not only was she in a, her heart is broken crisis, an emotional crisis, she was in like a logistical crisis. She didn't know how to drive. She didn't have a job. We didn't have a car. We didn't have a way to get groceries home. So it was for her, you know, a situation of a lot of frustration and anger. So her being angry at my dad still, like I understood that, but I also wanted to empower her. So similar to the way I wrote the book, that summer, every morning when I woke up, I tried to read again. I didn't feel like I knew my mom all that well, but all the stories about her that I remembered, I wrote them in a way that she was the hero of every story. And it was really nice for me. She never heard them or benefited from them, but when she died, my siblings brought pictures of my mom to the luncheon that we had, and I brought my little essays, and I printed them out on brightly colored paper, and I put them on the tables, and you could see people reading them, and several people came up to me and said, "I never knew that about your mom." And it was really, I just felt like karmically I wanted to change the narrative for her. And it was a good lesson for me as well, because when you think about it, a lot of women, we allow ourselves to accept this narrative of, I'm a victim, somebody did this to me, instead of taking the reins and saying, you know what, this might be something that happened, but instead of happening to me, it happened for me. And I believe that with all my heart. And my mom had a lot of moments of triumph, but I don't think she could see them, you know?
I am blown away, honestly, by the content of your book, even though I haven't read the words, because I think that, looking at the title Daughter Lessons, you have touched on, even in these few minutes that we've been talking, you've touched on so many things that midlife women, women 40s, 50s and beyond are dealing with and struggling with and grappling with. And, even from your essay to your friends about aging, right? I mean, coming from a girly who had a hard time turning 40. But now that I'm 57, I look back and I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
Whatever.
What was I crying about?
Yeah, like, hell yeah, bring on my birthdays, bring them on. And by the way, I believe there are no coincidences, so the fact that you had all these built-in people that could help you get this book published is pretty fantastic, because I think women need to hear your stories. And, from mother-daughter relationships can be so beautiful and lovely, and they can also be so grief-filled. And so I think that your book allows for both. And I wanna thank you. I wanna thank you for putting that into the world so it can get into the hands of women who might be feeling alone, or maybe they feel they're the only one, or maybe they feel like nobody understands. So thank
Oh,
you.
yeah. No, I do. I question myself often, like, was I a good enough daughter? And I do. I feel badly about it, but when I can zoom out, I can I get it. I see what happened, and I have to look at it through the lens of my parents as people, and not just as, we often look at that mother-daughter relationship as the child looking up at the mother saying, "What happened? Why did you let me down? What was going on?" But I think as time goes on, and I'm obviously mature and have successfully raised my girls, and I'm very close to them. I think that I have been able to look at this in a different way and look at my mom as a human and realize, you know what? Maybe she didn't have the greatest parents in the world. They were lovely people, but maybe they weren't. I mean, my mom's mom was 17 when she was born. Like, how equipped are you to raise a baby when you're 17? And then all the things that go into making us who we are. I think if we can look at our parents through that human lens and choose to love them anyway and appreciate, okay, they gave me my life and I appreciate that. And I truly, one thing I do write in my journal every day without fail, I write I write this sentence: I thank you for my life, and I thank you for the lives of my parents, my children, and now I'm saying, and their children, because my daughter Carly has two tiny little girls, and my daughter Courtney is pregnant with a girl, and she's due in December. So we only do girls. And I also thank God for my dogs, for Jackson's, who's over here, and Peanut, his older brother by a different mother, who's my little angel puppy in heaven. But I write that every day, because even though I did not, in a lot of ways, both of my parents totally let me down. If you look at it through the lens of parenting today, I mean, we take parenting so much more seriously than our parents took it. I mean, the intentionality that we took as parents, I think we all deserve a big pat on the back. We got the assignment. We're taking it seriously for the most part. Our parents, not so much. Not so they had kids, they weren't thinking about it. It was a whole different world. But that was what their parents were like. And that's what their parents were like. So we have to look at it in context and be grateful. And I am grateful for my parents.
Hey there, I'm Lisa Coricella McDowell, your midlife Pacific Northwest princess, here to guide you in the art of next leveling your life. I'm passionate about women's health and wellness in midlife, especially for moms parenting kids with unique needs like I do. I truly believe we can learn, grow, advocate, and care for the planet while taking care of ourselves and our families. And I'd love to help you do the same. And I'm beyond excited to tell you about my membership for maxed out mamas just like me, the Empowered Parent Collective. It's a space for parents to confidently advocate for their kids, build inclusive communities, educate themselves, and find balance and support along the way. To find out more about the Empowered Parent Collective, my classes, wellness offerings, parenting tips, advocacy resources, and exclusive Drinks with the Girls goodies, head to nextlevellifewithlisa.com. Let's survive and thrive in the messy middle together. There was an article in The Atlantic recently, and I run a support group I went to Smith, so women that went to Smith and elder support. And there was an article that I shared in there, and someone was able to give me a guest link so I could actually read it. But it was just about this idea of exactly what you're saying, like the idea of being very intentional and raising your children in a responsible way is kind of a modern idea, like going into it intentionally. Like I think my mom definitely went into it intentionally, but not in the same way that I feel like we kind of feel like we have to now. I mean, it's like Pinterest and social media and blah, 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 and you got to make the holidays magical and da, 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 da. Like I don't know that those type of pressures were that. And I think that this article, the point it was making was basically like, it was talking about fractured families and this idea of, our generation feels like we weren't parented in a lot of cases well. And this idea that a lot of our parents were just doing kind of generationally what you did back then to be a parent, right? And it was like, you weren't being told to coach the soccer team, right? Like you weren't told that like, you have to have these moments and like go with your daughter to buy a prom dress and da da da, right? They were nice to do. It was things that was kind of cool. But now it's like, I'm a bad mom. I didn't have an opportunity to do that. I'm a bad mom. I work too much. I can't like coach my kids' team. Like there's this judgment and expectation piece that I think we put on ourselves that just, like you said, you're one of 7 kids. Like your mom was probably lucky if she got dressed and got food on the table,
Especially when she was a single parent in the house. I mean, she was depressed. I mean, I love my friends, Patty and Andrea. So Andrea was my best friend in first grade, and we are still friends. And we picked up Patty in like 5th grade, and the 3 of us are still friends. And after, my mom died, we went to we went to the French Open, and it was so nice to talk to them because they both said, we just remember how your mom just laid on the couch all the time, and she would come home from work, and we would say, go to bed, Mrs. Weaver. And she would just not move. Well, the woman was clinically depressed. I mean, it's not like you didn't go to a therapist. Who went to a therapist, And especially as a Catholic, she would probably definitely would not have gone to a therapist. She probably would have thought I should go to confession. I mean, that's where I should go. I mean, and she did end up, going to mass probably every day of her life for the rest of her life to try to get some strength. And that was her therapy to some degree. But it was good to hear my friends say that they noticed, like they knew that there was something really wrong. So when I think of it that way, I think, I'm proud of myself that I survived. It could have really gone off the rails. We've all seen it, right? Kids who just get kind of their collateral damage in these things where, the parents are hurt and can't pick up the pieces. And, I'm really grateful that I somehow managed to have the strength to get through.
I have so many things I want to say.
What?
But this podcast is only so long. But one of the things that keeps coming up for me is I was watching I was stalking you. I don't know, is it called cyber stalking? No, I was stalking your Instagram, and I was noticing some of the other interviews that you've done and some of the things that you've said. And you said how when you were pregnant or when your girls were born, you wanted them to be proud of you, and that was something that was important to you. When you got pregnant with your first daughter, were you nervous knowing that the relationship that you had with your mom? Like, did you have any feelings of, oh shit, how am I going to do this? How am I going to make this a better experience for us?
Honestly, I was excited to be pregnant. I always loved kids, and I was always somebody like, give me the baby. Give me the baby. I always was the babysitter, always wanted to be with the little kids. Since my siblings were older, they were having kids when I was still in high school, which was great. So it was very natural for me to want to have a family. And I knew I wanted to do it right away. So I graduated from undergrad. I got married 6 months later, had a baby a year later, had the next baby a year later. It was very normal. And that was not intentional at all. I mean, true disclosure, not intentional, just seemed natural. But when I was pregnant with Carly, I remember feeling kind of disconnected, thinking, God, I don't even know how I feel about this. And my older sister was saying, oh, just, it's going to be so hard for you to leave your baby. And she was being all dramatic. And I was like, oh my God, what is she talking about? And then, I still like, you have your baby. And I don't think this is all too unusual. You go through hell. It's a terrible physical trauma that no one tells you. No one tells you how bad it's going to be. And I remember being in the hospital bed with Carly, and I was holding her, waiting for my husband to come get us. So, I mean, it was probably the morning we were going to go home. And I was feeling so like, okay, are they going to let me go home with this baby? Am I qualified? No. So I'm sitting there with her, and this very ancient man and his very ancient wife were walking down the halls of the hospital, and he had his walker, and I think she may have even had a walker. And he turned and he looked in the room, and he turned to his wife, who was kind of behind him, and said, oh, mother, look at that little girl and her baby. Isn't that grand? And it was like something in that moment just hit me, and it all fell into place. And I was just struck with the joy and the power. And I really was very empowered as a young mother. And I wanted my kids to be proud of me. I was so excited. to have them. And honestly, I had Carly and literally was plotting like, when am I going to have the next baby? Because I was so happy, and I didn't know that motherhood could be so happy coming out of the environment that I had come out of.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was a boon. It was a boon for me, for sure.
It sounds like writing the book and then also the time that you spent with your mom at the end of her life really helped you do some healing with your relationship with her?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Writing her story was very empowering for me because I felt, I really was always kind of mad at her because she did look at herself as a victim, and she did look at herself as, oh, this happened to me. And I didn't like that, only because I could see her accepting her role as a victim was totally giving her power away. And, as a child, nobody wants to see their parent, weak or vulnerable or giving in. So I thought it was just a wonderful thing to have, and I don't even know what possessed me, just that conversation with her caregiver about how angry she was. And I thought, well, she's probably angry 'cause she feels helpless, and she feels helpless because she felt like she was a victim. And somehow in my mind, I thought, okay, how do I change that for her? So I do believe that she doesn't she didn't need to hear those stories or read those stories or read my book for the love and the energy that went into the book to have maybe had some healing for her.
It sounds like you really consciously kind of went into this latter kind of part of your relationship with your mom in a way that, I mean, it seems you were very intentional about wanting to be closer to her, wanting to kind of understand her. And I think about people that maybe aren't close to their mothers and maybe want to be, but just aren't quite sure where to start. Do you have any kind of pearls of wisdom or reflections on that particular topic? I mean, everybody's situation is different, but
Yeah, I think that the looking at your parents as people and trying to figure out what was their parenting situation. That is advice, because I actually people have come to me and said, I can't stand my mother, or I can't stand my mother-in-law, or I just, I this is so frustrating, especially holidays coming up. I mean, we're on that end of the year where Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and Hanukkah, and people are, already like you can feel the heart palpitations of everybody having to be in those situations. And I always think, you can't stand someone until you understand them. And, you know, we I think as children, we're we're a little spoiled because we always think, oh, well, my parent has to love me. It's like the love flows this way. But actually, the love flows the other way too. And if we can look at our parents with loving eyes, and walk away, put those things that they did wrong or that you perceived as wrong in a box and try to really look at them in a more human way, I think that can go a long way. I mean, I mentor a lot of young lawyers now. So my parenting at home, I'm a remote worker, let's say, for my daughters, right? I still have a job, but I'm more of a consultant, and I'm remoting in, even though we all live in New York. But you know what I mean? You're not in your children's lives every single day. They're not sleeping under your roof. It's different. So I've had this beautiful opportunity to mentor a lot of young lawyers who work for me and who work on my teams, and you would be surprised at how many are very much blaming their parents. Oh, well, my parents didn't do this, my parents didn't do that. And, I have said to more than one, look, your parents aren't perfect. I'm sure they love you perfectly. They love you and did the very best. But there is a point in time where you have to accept what they've given you and then start parenting yourself. And that is the job that I'm really trying to take seriously now, is trying to nurture me, because I realize I didn't get the dose that I needed to as a younger person. And then I spent many, many years lovingly wanting to, concentrating on my daughters. Now I'm really working on nurturing myself and trying to be, my own advocate and somebody who takes care of and watches out for me. And that is, that's a concept that's foreign to a lot of people, particularly women, but we need to think about that, and don't get caught up in the trap of, all the things that we do are self-care. Like, okay, getting your hair done is self-care, and getting your nails done is self-care, and all these things that we have to do for the outward appearance. What are we doing to nurture our souls? If we spent half the amount of time trying to beautify the inside as we do to beautify the outside, we would have a beautiful world. And I think in this third, I'm in the last third of my life. I will say it. It's freeing in a lot of ways. And I think, what do I want for this last third of my life? And I want to be good to others, of course. And that starts with being good to yourself and thinking about, what can I do to nourish that soul that I'm bringing into the next life? We're not bringing this body into the next life with us, but we are bringing our beautiful souls. So what are we doing on that front? I think that's a good question for everybody to ask themselves.
You're speaking our language, girl. We self-care, when I talk to my clients about self-care, I don't even like the word self-care. I like to use the word self-indulgent, and it really kind of activates a lot of women because they have a negative connotation about self-care or self-indulgence. But you're exactly right. Like, and we Gen Xers, I don't know, where you fall in the generational labels, but the Gen Xers, hell, we walked home from school to an empty house.
With a key around our necks
the
or under the rock.
Come home when it's dark and all of that, right? And so I think, to your point earlier, our parents, their parenting skills were not the greatest. So I think I look at it like a pendulum, right? It's like, you're neglected and you're parented really poorly over here. So then when we start parenting, we head that way, and then then you get the helicopter parents and all that. That's not what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say has left the building. I distracted myself. I told you I have so many things I want to say, Bernadette.
I love it. I love it.
Oh my God. Okay, it'll come back. Hold on. What I really want to talk about is the idea of how we start parenting adult children. I love how you said you're just a consultant now. And I before we really switch the conversation, is it okay if we kind of dive into that a little bit?
Absolutely. Talk about it. Yeah, of course.
I read this quote today and I wrote it down because not only did it hit me like a ton of bricks, but it is so apropos for this conversation. And I saw it on my beloved Instagram. Her account is heymom.co. And it says, "Do not underestimate the difficulty in the shift from being the director of your child's life to becoming a member of the audience. It will be your greatest transformation." And it's like, I just wanted to start sobbing, first of all. Okay, quick pause. Have we talked about the Pod Squad lately?
Oh, the Pod Squad. You mean our email list /VIP lounge /digital wine club?
Exactly. So listeners, if you're not on it yet, you're basically making life harder for yourself when it comes to podcasts.
Like trying to scroll for show notes while speed walking on a treadmill. Wait, what was that link again? Oh, no. Grab the side rails.
Or pulling up that book we mentioned while you're in the Starbucks line and then realizing everybody else moved up 3 cars and now you're that woman.
We've all been there. That's why we made the Pod Squad. You'll get new episode alerts every week with direct links. Easy to listen, easy to share.
And show notes straight to your inbox. So when we drop a life-changing product, book, hot tip, or yummy new drink, you're not rummaging through your memory like a woman searching for her reading glasses when they're on top of her head.
It's organized, it's helpful, it's for you, babes.
So join the Pod Squad. The link is in the show notes. Just tap it.
Snacks, sarcasm, solidarity.
And obviously, fighting the patriarchy.
We write at dawn.
My kids are 27 and almost 30, and I feel this on the daily. And luckily, my daughter, she talks to me a few times a day, so that's fine. I get my parenting fix that way. But talk to us a little bit, Bernadette, about what helped you navigate that transition. You go from literally doing everything for your kids, and then all of a sudden, you're expected to just kind of take a back seat. So, how did you deal with that, and what are some tips to get through that time?
Yeah, that it can be hard. I absolutely remember that. It probably helped that I was going through a divorce at that time. So I was having my own challenges, we'll say, own challenges. But I've always talked to my girls, and I feel like that hasn't changed. I mean, I talk to my daughter, Courtney, my God, 5 times a day. I talk to Carly, and she's got the 2 little kids. I don't talk to her 5 times a day, but we probably talk every day. We at least communicate every day. So that feels really good. We have gone to a place where, we really enjoy each other. And we have, we live in close proximity in New York, which is very unusual. So we have circumstances that assist with that. I also built up with them over time. We planned an annual trip every year. We had a mother-daughter trip every year for 10 years, starting not when they were little, starting when Carly was 19. And it was fantastic. We did it until she got married. And it was great. And so I think we had a really good foundation for the transition. And, I think just being able to talk to them and, really respecting them. I think that's something that I definitely made a point to when they were telling me things as adults. And as soon as Carly went away to college, I remember her calling me and telling me things and thinking, okay, don't overreact. Just keep her talking, keep her talking, keep her talking. And, try to draw her out on her thoughts about it. So there were definitely moments where I could feel myself strategizing about it because I knew I couldn't be the conductor anymore. I knew I was still on the train. I was still on the train.
You were near the emergency exit. You could pull the cord.
I was there, but I wanted them because if we're doing our job right, we want to get fired to some degree. But I also tell parents, when you think about it, parenting adult kids it's much more nuanced. And in some ways, it's more important because the things that they're facing as adults are a lot bigger. They're facing marriage choices. They're facing pregnancy loss. They're facing infertility. They're facing, huge breakups, loss of jobs. I mean, they're facing big things as adults. So our wisdom can really be critical. So I try to tell people, you in fact have not been fired. You're just your role has changed a little bit, but it's no less important. I mean, I know that my advice to my girls means something to them. And what's great now is I ask their advice about things. And we have a relationship where we can talk about what they're doing, what I'm doing. And we try to have something on the calendar so that we know, okay, we're getting together on Saturday and we're doing this then. And, we just try to enjoy it. I think we have worked hard to really protect what we have, that the love that we have, and we enjoy each other's company very much. And my older daughter Carly has said to me more than once, "Mom, we have something special." And the fact that she sees it makes me feel great. And then I see her with her two little girls, and I feel like I feel like I'm watching my life over again because it's the same. Her girls are a year apart. It's a very similar dynamic, and it's really fun. So there's joy. There's joy in it if you can get over yourself, kind of get over yourself, and also think about, oh, maybe all this energy that I put into parenting my kids, maybe I could put a little bit of that energy into myself. I mean, I've done a lot of work, and it maybe that sounds self-indulgent, but I have done a lot of work over the past, oh, maybe not all that long. I mean, 15 years. I mean, one year I dedicated to yoga. One year I had a yoga journal, and every single day, my goal was to do yoga 5 days a week for an entire year. And I did it. And I wrote down every class I took. I wrote down the time of day. I wrote down how I felt, and it was amazing. I have all the journaling I did. I have burned my journals. I had a bonfire, and I periodically destroy my journals because I think they're for me, and I want to burden my children with them. And one year, all my girlfriend gifts. So I really have a lot of fun with my friends. And that's one thing I've done as an adult, as my kids have gotten older, is I've really focused on my girlfriends. And so I always do, I try to do something fabulous for Christmas. And one year I took all my journals and I shredded them, the past journals. And then I put the shredded paper in the gift boxes for everybody.
Oh, I love that.
So it's almost like I was sending like blessings and prayers out into the world to the people that I cared about, to all my women friends, sending them strength, sending them joy, sending them hope. Because I think if I can feel happy, and I struggled being happy for a long time. And if I can feel happy, anybody can do this. But it takes some time, and it takes commitment, and it takes you putting your happiness first. Because I think we need to do that. Once we're happy, we're giving our children and every person that we love and that loves us permission to be happy too.
What else needs to be said?
I know, right? I'm like,
I mean, literally, the Drinks with the Girls, I know if you've, listened to some episodes, that's your friendships, right? And parenting yourself, giving yourself permission to do things that feel good. We're trying to spread that message. And so we really, really appreciate you coming on here and helping us spread that message.
Oh, I love your episodes. I loved. In fact, I want to support your work. So tell me what I can do.
wonderful.
I would love to support your work and join in whatever groups you're doing. And I want to keep tabs with you because I really felt very connected to the two of you listening to your podcasts and your friendship. And, I love that you're connected through your moms. That's really beautiful.
We've talked about it on the podcast, not like tons, but we've certainly talked about our origin story and all that. And, when I think about it, it's just like I'm totally convinced that our moms are up there just so excited about this. And I can just kind of picture them getting together weekly with a glass of wine or whatever. And hey, we're going to listen to the girls record. Like, I feel very connected to them in a lot of ways.
My mom definitely has Renee up there on a weekly wine drinking schedule. I just want you to know.
Finally. And what's interesting is we're going to turn it on ourselves. We decided, we may live to regret this, but we decided we were going to interview our daughters. We both have an older boy and a younger daughter. And so we're going to interview our daughters for Mother's Day. So that should be interesting.
That's amazing. I think now I'm planning a talk with a personal development coach and her mom, who is a friend of mine, and my daughters. And we are going to go to Rochester, New York, and we're going to talk about generational healing and how important it is and just strengthening the mother-daughter bond. And it's never too late. It's, people always think, oh, it's never too late. I don't think anything is ever too late. You somehow, even if the other person is gone, like I feel, so my dad died in 2009, so a long time ago, 16 years ago. And he really did miss my life. He missed my life, and I loved him to death. And he really missed it, and my siblings. But I will tell you, I have felt his presence really since he died. I have felt his strength. I've felt his protection, and I've gotten a ton of messages from him. And his significant other, who is not the woman he left my mother for, is still alive. And she has given me a beautiful gift of helping me know my father in a way that I could never know him. So it's not too late. It's not too late. There's many, like, we have this Hallmark movie in our heads, and we think that our childhood needed to look like this, or that our marriage needs to look like that, or that our parenthood needs to look like something else. And you know what? No one's sitting around judging you. It's, in the end, it's the effort, it's the intention, it's the love. It's not what it looks like. It does not have to be Instagrammable to be wonderful.
I think I'm
Right.
going to put that on a mug.
I love that.
My gosh, like, talk about an hour flying. I have so many thoughts about all this. Just, I'm thinking about my own relationship with my daughter and my mom, like reflecting on all these things. And yeah, I think you've given our listeners a lot of food for thought. Karen, anything you want to add?
Bernadette, if people want to know more about you, if they want to find your book, what do you have? Where do you want listeners to find you at?
Well, they can get my book on Amazon.com. It's called Daughter Lessons. And you can also reach out to me I have an email, Bernadette@daughterlessons.com. I have a website with some essays on it that you can read that I update. I need to be better about updating. I was so good for a long time, and then putting the book together, that kind of falls away. But it's okay. I do update it. I also write on LinkedIn. I am a pretty frequent poster on LinkedIn. I write about the practice of law, but more about the practice of life, which is really better suits me anyway. Not that the practice of law doesn't suit me, but there's a lot of good lawyers, and I am proud that I'm a good lawyer, but I think we need more good people and more good feel-good stories. So I try to focus on humanity. And okay, since I know we're airing on December 1st, I think it would be fun to share something I wrote a few holidays ago that has been really fun, and is one of probably my most popular essays. So we'll kick off the holiday season for your listeners with a little holiday manifesto. And my quote for this one is: manifesto, a public declaration of intention, opinion, objective, or motive. And that is from the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Holiday is seldom paired with a manifesto, but I have been thinking a lot lately about how to spend the rest of my life, drafting statements about what I want and how I might achieve it. It is overwhelming. This morning, I concluded it might be better to plan just for the next 30 days and see how I do. A month is less daunting, and my success or failure more readily measured. This particular month, the one between Thanksgiving and Christmas, can be a source of great happiness or great angst. I decided to plan for the former and avoid the latter at all cost. My holiday manifesto. I will revel in this season. I will not complain about cold, snow, traffic, or money. I will watch my favorite Christmas movie, Holiday Inn, more than once. I will take every opportunity to celebrate and decorate. I will drink champagne and eat Christmas cookies, maybe for breakfast. I won't stress about calories. I will wear sparkly shoes and a Santa hat at the very same time. I will spoil my children. I will sing Christmas carols at the top of my lungs, and I will watch Courtney dance in the Nutcracker for the 16th year in a row. In the spirit of balance, I will be naughty and nice. If I have a bad moment, I will move on quickly, yet I will positively linger under the mistletoe. I will offer those I love what they really want, my unadulterated presence. I will be the embodiment of joy. And perhaps if I manage to meet my 30-day plan, I will have the courage to tackle the next 30 years.
Don't know what else there is to say. Well, we will
I
put
like
all
your
that.
line about balance, being naughty and nice. I think that's my fave.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, we will put all these links in the show notes. And Bernadette, you're pretty active on Instagram, I think, too, right?
I am. Daughter Lessons. It's daughterlessons.com, and it has a picture of me and my daughters from behind taking a selfie, which is actually my book cover. And yes, I'm pretty active on Instagram as well. So
Awesome.
Yeah, you can find me there.
Listeners, like, share, comment, do all the things, join the Pod Squad, get all the goodies emailed to your inbox, and it's shareable. And I felt like some of our episodes lately have been like highly shareable for people that really need to hear this message. Think of a friend that needs to hear it and send it to them. Karen, anything?
I have to say, our latest episodes, are fire, and they just keep getting better. So if you're not on the Pod Squad, listeners, what are you waiting for? And please share this episode with a girlfriend, with a sister, with a daughter, with a mother, with a woman in your life, because I know she needs it. So thank you for listening, and I will sign off by saying cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.